working for myself is freeing. Most of the stress that comes from working for someone else and not being able to meet someone else's expectations is no longer present, and it allows me to see my life in a better light. There's very little stability, sure, and money is always a major sticking point when making decisions, but I am no longer wondering if I'm working for a boss that is a shameless, exploitative asshole that doesn't believe in me. Because now that I am my own boss, I know he is, and that's liberating.
Morning pages. Anyway, talked about how I structure my day and how that helps me get to work before, and I'll link that video at the end. So long story short, I wake up, I walk the dog, I have breakfast, then I go to the gym, then I come back, walk the dog again, I have lunch, and then I sit down to work on this 4-hour work block. And I had a few questions from people asking what this 4-hour block actually looks like. So let me show you what an afternoon at the tower looks like, and how I manage my time, my focus, and my emotions during this period. Now, this is where I work. This is my working environment, and it's not super fancy, but there are a few things here that are very important for this particular setup. First of all, it's got to be a little bit decluttered. I didn't clean it up before shooting this video, so that you'd see, like, this is actually where I sit down to work. Oh, look! Here's the thing. Like, some of these things are here just for fidgeting. Obviously, you know, fidget cube, and then some hand grips, and I have this little brush, gimme, that I use sometimes on my keyboard, you know, when I'm bored. But one of the best tools that I have is this little USB hub right here. I glued it to the bottom of the desk so it's out of the way when the laptop is not there, you know, for example, when I want to use the piano. And it also, this thing works super fast. See, because I used to have a different sort of hub here instead of this one, and it was a lot slower, and my monitor wouldn't recognize that there was anything plugged in, and it would like blink and not come on, and that would just knock the wind out of me. Now, small stuff like that can tank your entire working day. Like if your monitor fails to light up for the third time and you get a notification or something, like boom, your entire afternoon wasted on TikTok. But having a working environment that my brain recognizes as the place we do work is critical, and that's why my one productive block of work in the day starts when sitting down. Here. Not here. Especially not here. Right. I've sat down. What now? Well, usually what works is I'll visualize these tasks in my head in, you know, large, medium, and small size. So let's use this YouTube channel as an example on how I go about creating videos for it. The one large task in that scenario is upload a video every week. Now, this is a task that cannot be completed in one day. I'll find a medium-sized task that I need to complete on that day to even have a video to push. And that could be anything from script writing to shooting video to B-roll to editing and so on. You know, tasks I can accomplish in a day. And I'll usually have these lined up before I even sit here and get to work. And there are also smaller tasks, sometimes not related to the project at all, that are just sort of there, looking at you, judging you. And these tasks are stuff like, I don't know, calling the dog groomer. We need a better word for this. That sounds illegal. We're sending an email or taking out the garbage. So today, let's just take the script writing task as our example. So today, of all days, I am finishing up a script to even have a video to push up to our YouTube channel by the end of the week. So first things first, I need an idea, right? But today's script writing day, it's not ideas day. So if I'm sitting down to write a script and I don't have an idea for it, I've already sabotaged my own productivity. I'll end up with no script, for one, but more importantly, I'll probably fall into that very familiar pit of despair where I convince myself I'm not cut out for this, I'm terrible at it, and I need to stop before I embarrass myself any further. And I need to weed that behavior out.
Thankfully, I'm prepared for that because I have a bank of ideas. I have my notes app. I can check that. I can check my notebooks that I have everywhere that I've written ideas down on. I can check my comments section. Ideas can come from anywhere. And then I'll figure out what I want to talk about, what people want me to talk about. Everything is allowed, every source is allowed.
And once I have that idea, I'll grab my phone and I'll record a longish voice note while pacing around my apartment. Because if you're talking to yourself on your phone and you're not pacing around the apartment, then you need to go back to like your home planet or something, because what is wrong with you? Now this voice note is going to sound a lot like this. As I pace around the apartment, I will try to explain in very simple and raw terms whatever concept I'm trying to get across. And it's very much like this. It's very much stream of consciousness, just regular, normal speaking voice. Sometimes I'll pretend I'm giving a TED Talk or something to an audience of nobody out here, and that helps me visualize, a crowd, an audience that I want to get this message out to. And once I have my voice memo, what I'll do is I'll run it through an AI program, and that's going to grab my voice and just turn it into a transcript so that I can just copy paste it into a Google Doc.
Now, quick note here, I could never get any of those productivity apps to work for me, like Evernote or Trello or Notion, none of them. They involve a lot of setting up and maintenance becoming a project unto themselves sometimes. And that adds friction to the work I'm trying to do. It'll take me longer to open the app and check out what I have to do instead of immediately getting to work. So whenever possible, I'll use the most vanilla version of an app out there so that it'll get me to finish the task as quick as possible. So I'll paste my text into a Google Doc and I'll go in and try to find an entertaining way of saying everything that I just said in the voice note. Sometimes I'll rewrite the entire episode anyway, but the voice memo already helps me keep track of the talking points that I don't want to forget. Now, is this a full 4 hours of uninterrupted work? Hell no.
Now, I get distracted a lot. Like, I'll decide that I just want to do laundry that day, or I'll remember that I haven't cleaned the oven or whatever. And I'll be honest with you, if the task takes less than 5 minutes to complete, like, for example, throwing a load of clothes in the machine, then I give myself permission to do it.
The background noise that these small tasks generate are probably as detrimental to your productivity as trying to force your focus into that one task. So I'll give myself permission to be distracted while at the same time being thankful for these random spells of hyper focus whenever they do happen.
And it'll happen sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I will not be able to finish the one task that I set out to do, the one thing that I was supposed to do that day. And I'll drop back into my old habits of treating myself like dirt and telling myself that I am worthless and that I'm never going to be able to do this consistently enough. And listen, I know most of us do the same thing, but once again, and I've mentioned this before, once again, you cannot bully yourself into success.
You cannot tell yourself that you are worthless and then be surprised when your artistic soul refuses to do work. I wouldn't want to work for someone who treats me like that either.
So, first off, if you don't finish a task, be kind to yourself. That's number one. And number two, analyze and figure out where things went wrong. Like maybe the task was too big. Maybe it needed 2 days instead of one. Maybe you had an emergency phone call that lasted for a little too long and that threw you off your game. It happens. Try it again tomorrow, man.
I mean it though, when that 6:30 p.m. marker hits, I have to stop working, and I do most days. You'll usually find though that you're going to stop working, you're going to finish your tasks way earlier than that.
See, when you work for yourself, you can do that. I finished writing my script at 3 p.m., so we're done. We can start our reward block. Sure, there's always more, and you can always do more, but that's not a measure of productivity or success. Like, sure, if you find yourself constantly finishing your tasks super early, that probably means you're planning them incorrectly. But most of the time, if you finish your stuff a few hours later, you can and should check out. This is why I hated working in a 9 to 5 office, because even if you finish your work at 11 a.m., you still have to be there looking busy until 6 p.m. for no reason. If you still have the time to do some small tasks, then by all means, go ahead and do some small tasks. But I'm giving you permission right now. If you finished your medium-sized task, the one that you set out for the day, you're done. You've completed your day. It's over. Congratulations. Like, pat yourself on the back, really. One of the questions in my comments last week was, do you take breaks?
Yes, sir, I do take breaks. Lots of breaks, actually. I take breaks to get myself coffee or a shake, or, get myself a little snack, or check the internet for any new memes or news stories. So yeah, I do take breaks, but what I don't do is take breaks in very comfortable places.
See, I love me a video game. I do. But if I sit down on my couch for a quick game of FIFA while I'm trying to write a script, that would be the end of the day. I would sit down and I would never be able to get back up.
So yeah, I love my couch, but I also respect that couch because I know that if I sit my ass down, I'm never getting up. But again, that counts. If you didn't finish the task that you set out to do and you stared at your laptop all day without having a single idea, that counts. You showed up and did the work. That should be enough to trigger the reward block. If you couldn't finish your task, then you gotta ask yourself, what was missing? What wasn't ready? Was there a lack of planning? Was there a resource that I didn't have access to? A tool that I couldn't get to? What was it? So see, there's a million possible explanations as to why you couldn't finish your task, and because I'm lazy is usually the last one in that list. You may be out of energy. Sure, that happens, but that usually means that you've overworked yourself somewhere else or something is leeching off your energy. And that could be a toxic workplace or a bad relationship or an unpaid debt that's looming over your head. Anything from being burnt out to like your Wi-Fi not working will block you, and that says nothing about you as a person. And that's it, that's that. I sat down after lunch and I made sure that my environment, my work environment was ready and my task list was clear and actionable. And I took breaks and I avoided my Xbox and I got stuff done. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I couldn't finish the stuff, but it still counts as working. I showed up. Because showing up counts. Because failing teaches you things. Because if anything, at least you learned why you couldn't get to where you wanted to go. And hey, knowing is half the battle.